Coming at you from the Steel City, you're listening to Poor Man's Podcast, Pittsburgh's premier comedy podcast. Your weekly dose of humor, hosted by Chris Hopper and with a new special guest each week. And here's your host, Chris Hopper.
Woo! Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Poor Man's Podcast. I'm your host, Chris. Along with me, as always, is the beautiful Egghead. Just the Egghead this week. Egghead, how are you? It's been 2 weeks. Well, not 2 weeks. We had a week off without the Egghead last week that somehow we managed to get through. But Egghead is back.
I'm glad
in blue again.
Of course.
The man in blue.
I have to keep up my persona. Shay, especially in her absence, I have to honor her. She always says the headphones match the shirt, and I like to live up to that.
I see that. That's one thing I've absolutely noticed, and you should notice too by watching the YouTube page, especially after the last week. Now, Egghead, I'm going to go over some of the places you can find us, because I want to start out with the show with letting people know that a lot of people will just listen to us on Spotify or Deezer. On Apple, we're available on any platform right now. I'm pretty sure there's a couple other ones that I just signed up for that I'm pretty sure are just European because I've never heard of them. But we are available on those as well. But please check out the YouTube page. You can watch the show. Last week our show went to about an hour and 40 minutes, which was way longer than we wanted, but it didn't drag at any point. And I had to upload the video. It took about a day and a half because I wanted to do the HD video. And it was a hassle. And after doing a feature-length film, essentially, please watch it. Please go out and watch it, just because so my efforts weren't in vain. But getting back to that, Egghead, where were you last week?
I had to do some stuff for my car to get it to pass inspection. So I took it in. They said, "Oh, your brakes are kind of sticking. You need to put some grease on them." So I thought they meant the two bolts that, in my knowledge, are generally where you put grease on your brakes. But I was incorrect, unfortunately. So despite missing the Poor Man's Podcast last week to work on my car, it still did not pass inspection. And I had to pay the good folks who are actually awful, because this is not something you should fail for, at Pep Boys, to put grease on my brakes, which apparently is worth $140 to put a little grease on there.
Is there anything more shady than the mechanics who you go in? I had to go to get, I think, just a tire replaced, which brings me to today. Not even but an hour ago, I blew out my front tire because some asshole parked like an asshole. People, and this is important, this is a PSA for everybody. When there's, yellow paint on the curb because you can't park there, but you can park up to it, then park up to it, because those are the allotted spots for city parking. Don't park 3 feet past it where nobody can fit, or 5 feet past it where nobody can fit. If you're not going to park up to the yellow line, leave enough space for another car too, because this guy parked like a dick, so I had to go around, and I misjudged the curb, and I definitely blew out my tire, and it's my kid's first day of school tomorrow. I have all this going on, and now I have to get a new fucking tire, Egghead. What's going on with the cars? But anyway, I took it in to do something like that, and then it's like, oh, you need exhaust fluid, they just make shit up.
I know. It's terrible. And I feel bad for going to Pep Boys now. That's what I get for not going to help the local guy out. But
I hope you learn, man.
Yes. I'm quite the procrastinator, I'll admit. And it was the day before, and I was like, shit, I want to get my car inspected tomorrow. Yeah. Where can I call and be like, hey, can I drop my car off tomorrow morning?
Yeah.
And that was the place that was open.
It is. That's a convenience thing for those chains. You can usually get them in and out because they have people working for them, and they could flip them quicker.
Right.
But it seems like you always pay for it more in the long run.
Absolutely.
At least as far as my cars go. And I don't know what it is with tires and me. Maybe it's the way I drive. Today was definitely my fault when I hit that curb, because I went in with an attitude like, this fucking dick, and I turned around and hit the curb and then lost my mind. But anytime I've gone to the local guy, it's been better than Pep Boys or Goodyear or whatever. I'm not talking shit on them, because they have good people there too. Some of them, but
yes.
But Egghead, we have some big Bellevue news. I don't know if I told you. This is breaking news.
I don't think so. I don't recall any big Bellevue news. So fill me in.
I don't want to toot my own horn, but this is breaking on the Poor Man's podcast. Filmed and recorded in Bellevue. I posted this in Bellevue. Shop the Facebook page that we're going to be dropping some news. So I don't know if I can let out my my source yet, but there's going to be a wine crawl in the next month in Bellevue. It's the Bellevue's Art and Wine Crawl. It'll be September 25th from 6 to 10 p.m. So a lot of local artists right down Bellevue's historic Lincoln Avenue, right down there. There will be local, some artists. You can go check out their art, have some wine, go down there. It's outside, but it's they're still looking for some local artists. They're still looking for a couple vendors. If you're interested in doing that, go check out their page at bonafidebellevue.org/wine. Tickets in advance are $35, but the day of they're $40. So make sure you get your tickets early. Save a little bit of money. And if you know any local artists, let them know about it. Have them tell their friends. Let's get this to be everything it can be. Wine crawl sounds like a good time.
It does. It sounds a little contradictory. You think like wine, kind of classy, maybe. With
I will be crawling before the end of the night with wine. Yes, I promise you.
Any bar crawl, yeah. There's going to be some wine drunk people down there, and
wine drunk is the best drunk.
I completely agree with that. It is very fun.
It gets me. I'm not telling everybody to go out there. Don't do as I say, not as I do, kind of thing. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of great local places and just great local art, and it's a nice little street to go down. Lincoln Avenue Brewery is right there. So I go up and down that street all the time. I just went, there's CBD store. I know the owner, Kathy, who is a complete angel. She's wonderful. There's plenty of other good businesses right down the street. I love Dari Villa, little diner, P Squared Scents. I went in there. Their candles, not only do they smell great, but their names are great. There's one candle called Does This Smell Like Chloroform? I literally laughed out loud at a handful of the titles, and I was only in there for a minute because I was on my way home, and it was hot. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I know these guys. Let me go check them out and see what their scents are all about." And I was pleasantly surprised. Not that I thought it wasn't going to be good, but it was like you don't go in thinking to chuckle at candles.
I wouldn't think funny at a candle shop.
Yeah, there was a handful, and I went in, and the gentleman, I think he might have owned it. He asked me what kind of scents I was looking for, and I was like, oh, I love the smell of like grass being cut or like after it rains. He knew exactly what scent and what candle. So for the people out there who are like, well, I kind of like this smell and this smell, go in there. And tell him what you want. He'll find you a candle. It's awesome. But that gets me back to all the Bellevue stuff. So definitely check that out. It looks like it's on bonafidebellevue.org. And it's not too early for us to break one more story. A month after that, October 23rd, from 5 to 10. It could change. It could change because the day is very early. It's still August. So they're still setting the groundwork. It'll be Bellevue Beer Fest.
Oh.
Bellevue is the place to go if you like to get drunk in public, I think.
It sure sounds like it.
Not get drunk, like I said before, to have fun in public. But that definitely helps. I'm excited for that. I'm more of a beer guy than a wine guy. So I'm excited to see what kind of breweries are there. But that is supposed to be October 23rd, which sounds like a perfect fall date.
Yes.
It's going to start being cool. It's hoodie weather, boys and girls.
Yes.
I'm excited for it, but the wine crawl, maybe should we go? Should we go, Egghead?
Yeah.
We have to see what day of the week. We have to see what day of the week the 25th is. But I can't imagine it'll be a Tuesday.
Right.
So let's do that. We'll definitely stop at the beer crawl, but definitely we'll stop, support the vendors, support the artists, and it'll be a good time. Now, while we're talking about some local businesses, these... we've talked about them for the last couple of weeks. They're still shut down. That's a shame. So everybody listening, I think you can still go to their page and support them with that. Hopefully they're up and running soon because they are my favorite place in the city. But that wraps up the kind of news we wanted to go over. Now let's get to the preview for the weekend. And for everybody listening, I'm sure you can see in the info, we have sports guy JP calling in to give us the Steelers preview. Steelers football is back, and it's games that matter now. It's not the preseason anymore. I get excited for preseason, but that comes and goes the second quarter in the Hall of Fame game.
I completely agree with that. It's like, oh, football's back, and then it's like, not really.
Yeah.
But now football is really back.
Football is absolutely back. We did our fantasy draft yesterday, the Egghead and I.
Yes, we did. I have another one this coming Friday. It's back in full swing. And that takes me into the weekend. The big thing in Pittsburgh this weekend is the Heinz Field Rib Fest and football kickoff.
Hell yes.
Now, I've never been down there, unfortunately.
I haven't either.
And if I didn't already have plans this weekend, I would love to go. But any listeners who go, please give some feedback in the comments. I'd love to know what it's all about.
Yeah, take some pictures. Let us know. I'm going to try to get down there. I'm assuming it's an all-day thing on Saturday.
I think it's like all weekend.
Oh, well, then I will definitely stop down.
Yes.
I love ribs, and that's something I wasn't a big fan of barbecue.
Me too, and I saw they have like a takeout thing Thursday, so I might try and get in on that.
Okay. I'm sure that won't be a complete disaster. Not because of how they run it, but like if everybody's there, and I know how takeouts go in general.
Yeah, that's true.
It'll be a mess as far
not,
as traffic, not as far as like the rib part.
I'm hoping not a lot of people know about it because I had no clue it was a thing until I went on the page.
Well, you just
publicly broadcasting it.
You're broadcasting it on Pittsburgh's premier comedy podcast.
Yes,
Egghead.
So,
we're growing by the week, man.
I know.
We have some big guests coming into the next couple weeks, so definitely a rib fest.
Yes. And if you're down on the North Shore, there will be some free concerts there, local bands. I believe the Clarks will be down there on Friday.
Clarks are always down there for Rib Fest, I'm pretty sure.
I saw a few other bands, but if that's not your thing, you can head on over to the Rivers Casino for Cool and the Gang on Friday and Saturday night.
Oh, Cool and the Gang.
Yes, not just Cool.
Oh, he's bringing the gang with him. Go get some ribs and then go over and see a show, man.
Yeah.
That sounds like a weekend. Do you see any of the stuff at the zoo? This is something I wanted to mention too. I guess for like the last couple, maybe for the last week or so, but I think it's going until October 23rd. They're doing the Asian lantern kind of thing at the zoo on select nights, where there's like the old school like dragons that they do on the parades and stuff, like the Chinese dragons and stuff. They're doing that, but there's tigers, there's like sea turtles, there's a ton of really cool things that they do at night at the zoo, so people should definitely check that out. You can get tickets on the zoo website. But there's a lot of stuff to do around here, and like I said, it's starting to get cool, but it's not too... it's gonna be getting cool. So all the stuff you guys want to do outside still, now's the time to do it before hopefully it cools down relatively soon. But it has just been... It feels like this is the hottest summer that I can remember, at least since I've been alive in my 30 years. I know there's peaks and valleys, but it seems like consistently this summer has been unbearably hot.
I completely agree. It's been brutal, and it's been really humid, too. I went to the Pirate game on Saturday, and I was just sitting in, like, my own sweat, and it was just not fun.
Nothing is fun outside, and maybe it's just me getting older, and like I said in the last couple of weeks, I'm a little bitch when it comes to the heat anymore. Like... that all sounds fun, but I'll watch the Pirate game from my home in the air conditioning, and I'm just not feeling it. But it seems like on the low end, it's like 88. And every time I get in my car, like I have the temperature on it, and I don't know how super accurate it is, but it's between like 86 degrees and 94 degrees every time I'm in my car. And I work in a restaurant, and working in that kitchen, like... I feel bad for anybody else who has to work in the heat outside. This summer has sucked. So hopefully we have a wine crawl coming up in Bellevue. We have a beer crawl. Oh, we did the pumpkin beer tasting last week, Egghead.
Yes,
we tried a bunch of good ones.
I gotta say though, this has been my go-to for the pumpkin beers that I've had.
Now, don't say it yet. For just the listeners at home, we were talking about it last week. Egghead, what beer do we have tonight?
We have the Blockhouse Brewing Pumpkin Ale.
It is the premier pumpkin ale. It is so good.
It is drinking pumpkin pie, pretty much.
Yes.
It is very good. I don't think I could have more than like one or two because it's kind of sweet, but
Yeah.
it is delicious.
Well, that's why I'm cutting it with the Jameson tonight. So, now and they are a little bit sweeter. I like things on the sweeter side, I think. But that's why you do that. You do a pumpkin, you do an imperial ale every now and then. You switch it up. Variety is the spice of life.
Absolutely.
But yeah, and as Mike Angelo last week reminded me, it's a Pittsburgh thing. It's through Iron City. I didn't realize Blockhouse was through Iron City.
I didn't know that either. That's cool.
Yeah, everyone's like,
Even
oh,
better.
Iron City, yeah, hell yeah. So that's awesome. Wasn't there one more thing I wanted to say? Oh, Egghead. That's what I wanted to say. We have Sports Guy JP calling in momentarily. We're going to talk about Steelers, like we said, football season in general. He has all the odds, all the bets. So listen to him for all of that. But we'll probably get into the Woodley-Paul fight last night and the whole boxing thing there. Jake Paul ended up winning by split decision. But I made a comment on Instagram on the SportsCenter page. And this might not be something that everybody noticed, but it's something I noticed. There's people that work, I guess, for the during the ring that at the end of each round are in charge of putting the stools out for the fighters. There's a guy in the blue corner and a guy in the red corner. Whoever was in the red corner was earning their paycheck the second the bell rang. Ding! Stool in the corner. Blue guy, nowhere to be found for at least 5 seconds. Now, that might not sound super long, but when you're boxing for 3 minutes for the men, for 2 minutes for the women, just stand and fight the air for 2 minutes, okay? And then you need to sit down between so you can get your waters, get your cut stuff taken care of. If I have to wait 3 seconds for my stool, I'm pissed.
Oh, absolutely.
Red guy is a hero.
I'm glad you brought that up because I actually saw your comment this morning just scrolling through Instagram before work and I was like, what is he talking about? But that explains it.
It got quite a bit of following.
I saw a lot. I saw a couple people comment. I saw big facts on there.
Yeah. And I was like, I was talking to the people I was watching it with and I was like, I'm sure nobody's going to realize this because I just noticed stupid things. Like everyone's watching the fight and I'm watching the stools. But a handful of other people, at least 30 or so, have noticed that the red guy was killing it. So maybe we'll see if Sports Guy JP watched the fight. We'll talk to him about that. Excited for the Steelers, excited for football in general. Fuck yes, fall. Let's get it going. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with Sports Guy JP.
This is Mike Angelo, and you're now tuned in to the Poor Man's Podcast.
Welcome back. We are here with the Egghead, and calling in, we have Sports Guy JP. Sports Guy JP, it's been about a month or so since we've heard from you. How have you been doing?
I've been good. I'm just happy to get back into the football season. You know, baseball, like I say, not my thing. It's kind of like watching paint dry, in my opinion. So I'm just happy to finally get something else.
Especially in this city.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's just repeated disappointment.
It's always, let's get excited for the next 3 years, and then for the next 30 years, they suck.
Pirates are the worst ran organization in the 4 major sports probably the past 20 years.
They're pretty awful. And I thought I just didn't like baseball, but those 2 or 3 years in the early, 2010s when it was, when they signed Russell Martin and had AJ Burnett and McCutchen and Garrett Cole was coming up and they had that team, I was into it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow, I guess I like baseball. And now the Pirates suck again.
I guess we're kind of spoiled in Pittsburgh, too, having a good football and hockey team that, I don't know. I feel like I kind of come to expect that.
Right.
A losing season is unacceptable
excellence
in
here.
football and hockey.
Correct.
They don't want to win, though. They get their prospects, then they get good, then they trade them for other prospects. And then if they're bad, they'll keep them. Then if they're good, they'll trade them.
Yeah, he runs it like it's a business. I'm sure he's a great businessman, but nobody wants a businessman to run their organization from a fan's perspective.
Right.
But we're not here to talk about the Suckos. We're here to talk about the Pirates, Jesus Christ. We're here to talk about the Steelers. Now, JP, I don't know if you saw this. We were just talking to Egghead off the air. Egghead, what was going on with Juju and the crate challenge?
Yeah, Juju Smith-Schuster did the crate challenge where you walk up and down the pyramid of milk crates today.
Are people sick and tired of watching him dance, so he found a different thing to TikTok to?
Apparently. But
Have
it's
you
like-
seen this, JP? Have you seen the crate challenge?
No, I caught Adam Crowley make a comment about it, but I haven't seen Juju do it.
Have you
I've
seen
heard of
anyone
this.
do it though?
Well, I've heard like everyone that does it gets hurt.
Right.
And now
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah. What do you think the peak is in the middle? Is it like 7 crates?
I think so. I heard somebody was going to do it and they wanted to buy 64 crates. I probably can't do that math right now, but
Oh yeah, because then
on
you have
the
to like
spot.
break it down and then
So
yeah.
maybe 8.
Okay.
That would make sense, I feel like.
Yeah.
But
I'll get into it in a minute, but this is exactly the culture they're running. They do win more than the Pirates, but they're running a really horrible culture. I think.
It seems to just be like, well, you know what? For a lot of these athletes, I'm sure when they see like, and they can say what they want about TikTok, but I'm sure, I bet Juju Smith-Schuster probably makes just as much money outside of football as he does in football.
yeah, which if that's what he wants to do, that's fine. But like, if you want, like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. If you want to be a
I agree.
football player, like, be devoted to that.
Yeah.
And if you want to have a presence on social media, that's fine. But don't do something stupid where you could injure yourself right before the season
How do you
starts.
do that right now?
This is the absolute worst time to do it. Like, if you want to do it in week 7, like, at least you got half your season. But like,
I disagree.
I still don't know. I'm looking back at it. That's probably a worse time because there's more important games then. But
This is exactly why they didn't trade James Washington when he asked to be traded, because we have a bunch of idiot receivers, and now we need to keep him in case something happens like that.
Yeah, I don't think there's not a dumber thing because everyone you see who does it just like they go down in a blaze of glory.
yes, I feel like the most likely spot to land is on your neck. Like,
That's how it goes. Yeah. And these crates, I mean, on average, I'd say each crate's about a foot.
Was Mike Evans or Chris Godwin doing this by chance?
I don't know. I think their
that's
Super Bowl
why they
rings were
won
holding them down.
No, that's why they win Super Bowls in Tampa.
Right. That's what I was just getting at. And before we get into all your stuff, JP, what's your take on the linebackers wearing number 8? And I don't want to be Grandpa Hopper over here. I just don't like the aesthetic in the NFL. It seems
I hate it.
It seems like in high school, it doesn't bother me at all. High school, it looks cool. In college, it kind of looks cool. Like I like seeing that wide receiver or cornerback number 2. Mm-hmm. In the NFL, I don't like what's his name coming off the edge, number 8. The Steelers just signed him from
Melvin Ingram.
Melvin Ingram. I don't like that aesthetic.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, especially, and maybe it'll catch on like as time goes by and you get more used to it. But right now, it just seems like numbers meant something, and I feel like that's going to be hard for offenses to kind of read the defense. Maybe, I mean, I feel like you're in the NFL, you probably know everybody's number on the other team.
Tom
Like,
Brady said that himself. That it's gonna be harder to read defenses and pick out people. But,
okay,
it
well, he
seems
probably
a
does
little
more
juvenile.
homework than anybody. So
Yeah.
then I would agree with that because there was a scheme to the numbers for the listeners that don't know.
Which
Like,
crate was Brady on when they asked him that? Well, he was like on the 3rd crate, and he was still coming up.
I mean, he probably got more rings than Juju had crates.
You don't have that wrong at all. Now, sports guy JP, give us. We have you on to do the sports, so tell us what we want to know.
This is just a preview of Steelers this season. So now, anything can change mid-season. I know. As of today, I'll give you my opinion, but it could change. Injuries happen.
Now, for the listeners, just so everybody remembers, sports guy JP, he does everything with a little bit of a gambling side to it, correct? You like given the odds and stuff. So, I mean, he's going to give you his breakdown, but he'll also tell you the way to look at it from a gambler's perspective. So, please do go on, JP.
So, according to FanDuel, they've set the over/under at 8.5 wins for the Steelers.
That's going into the season. I thought they were an 8 to 9 win team. So I'm glad that I'm at least copacetic with somebody like that. Now, I feel like the offseason, I like the way they drafted. I like that tight end that they got out of Penn State. What the hell is his name?
Freiermuth.
Freiermuth.
Yes,
I think he's going to be
a good game.
a stud for the next 10 years in the NFL. I think Najee Davenport, Najee Harris.
Geez.
Is
Hey,
going to
he
be
got-
good, too. Didn't Najee Davenport shit in someone's like closet? Okay, we'll look that up off the air and get back to it. But JP, please, I keep interrupting you. You're the voice people want to hear for this.
So 8.5. That's interesting because I know a lot of the Yinzer crowd likes to cater to the never losing season for Tomlin. He's had 3 8-8 seasons, and everything else has been above that. So looking at it from that perspective, that's kind of difficult. But as I was diving into their schedule, I think best case scenario, and I went game by game, and there's, I think, about 5 games on our schedule where I don't think it's a clear win or loss. It could go either way. And I gave them the benefit of the doubt and put them at 4-1 for argument's sake, and they still came out 10-7. I don't think that's where I would put them. I would say 8-9, though, exactly. Vegas has this right on the money.
Yeah. When you go, like... because people will ask you that, how do you think they'll do? And then they'll say, I think they're going to be, 10 so they'll say whatever. But when you go game by game, you're like, okay, well, they should win that game. I know the Bengals sucked for the last couple of years, but Joe Burrow is going to be a stud as well for the next couple of years. So watch him. He's on the incline. I think the Steelers are still better than the Bengals right now. I think the Bengals are better than people are going to think. I think the Ravens aren't as good as a lot of people think.
I agree with that. The Ravens might be last in the division this year.
Oh, I don't know about that. We'll see. We'll see.
I mean, I'm not saying for sure, but
no, we like it. We like a hot take by the egghead.
Yes.
Well, there's things I like about Cleveland, things I don't like. I still like Baltimore.
How do you like Baker Mayfield?
I don't like Baker necessarily.
Do you think he can win a Super Bowl?
No. He is a relatively accurate. He's a pretty accurate thrower, but I kind of think the buck stops there. I think you need a bit of a wow factor in today's NFL. Tom Brady is the outlier when it comes to everything, I'm going to admit. But I think nowadays you need to be somewhat mobile. You need to have the arm strength, all of this. Baker,
you need the Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen kind of look.
Yeah. Baker is successful because Cleveland has the best offensive line in football. They have 2 Pro Bowl caliber running backs. They have 2 solid tight ends. They have a receiving core.
I think
a great coach. That is why Baker, I think, is succeeding.
I agree. They've put every piece around the offense for Baker Mayfield to succeed, and it's his offense to fuck up, essentially.
Mm-hmm. And Cleveland, I think they finally got a taste of success, so I'm not sure if they duplicate it. It's easier said than done. So the Steelers have the toughest strength of schedule in the league this year. 155 and 15-2 is the record of their opponents this season.
Wait, 155 wins and then 15 losses?
115 losses.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was like, holy shit, are they playing Alabama from the last 10 years? Because I don't know anybody else who would have that.
Yeah, so that's a 57% win percentage. Mm-hmm. But in addition to that, Baltimore has the second toughest schedule. Cincy has the 6th, and Cleveland has the 9th.
Right, because when teams play, and this is just for all the listeners at home, the Steelers are in the AFC North. So the way the schedule works, they play an AFC division, a whole other AFC division, and they play.
That division has Patrick Mahomes in it.
Oh, so they play the AFC West, correct? Mm-hmm. So that's going to be the Chargers, the Chiefs, the Broncos, and the Raiders, and then they're going to.
Packers and Lions.
Okay, so the NFC North. Mm-hmm. So Packers are going to be rough. Bears, we'll see how their quarterback plays, but they always have a good defense.
Right. Vikings. Their offense is solid.
They make it to the playoffs. I'm not sold on Kirk Cousins.
Me neither. But Justin Jefferson, Thielen, Dalvin Cook. I mean, they
definitely have pieces there. But it's another thing. Like it's like the same situation for Baker Mayfield. And Kirk Cousins isn't as good as Baker Mayfield, in my opinion.
Look what he did in 1 year in Buffalo. I mean, he was probably the best receiver in the league last year.
Buffalo's going to be good again. The Steelers, I say, start 0-1.
I think so, too. I think Buffalo has their division locked up as of week 1. I don't see anybody out of that division beating them.
So, Sports Guy JP, do you said you see them as an 8-9 win team? So you're predicting them to not make the playoffs then, correct?
I would say no. I still think Baltimore takes the division.
Okay.
Cleveland will be a close second. But again, Cleveland, I want to see more. You see it all the time. A team comes out of nowhere and they're successful. Cleveland, I think, may have been that team last year. They have talent everywhere, but can they duplicate it? Dallas has talent everywhere, but they struggle all the time.
Yes.
Minnesota, talent everywhere. They struggle.
Do you think with J.K. Dobbins out, Baltimore will still take first? We are at opposite ends of the poll if I said they might be last, so...
Hey, and one thing for everything to remember, in this NFL today, if your quarterback goes down, you lost. That's 8 games, possibly.
Yeah.
Like, depending on who you have, if Lamar Jackson goes down and they have that option kind of offense that they're running, I don't know who their backup quarterback is.
Trace McSorley.
Okay,
Penn State.
From Penn State. I don't think he doesn't run the same 40 as Lamar Jackson. For any team, I mean that goes for the Browns. Baker goes down. That goes for the Vikings. Who we were just talking about. Kirk Cousins isn't great. He goes down. There's a lot of teams like Ben Roethlisberger when he went down, and it's between Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges.
Yeah, the fact that the Steelers had that many wins amazes me. I mean, it shows that they had a really good defense, but
Yeah.
So getting into more, facts on the Steelers last year. So they ranked 15th in passing yards per game with 250, 84 rush yards a game. That was last in the NFL. Pro Football Focus heading into this season ranked them 19th among receiving corps. They were second in drops with 30 last year. O-line is ranked 32nd heading into this year.
JP, before you go on, so the receiving core at what, what did you say they were ranked?
19.
19? Is that just because they don't have a clear-cut, game-breaking number one receiver? Because they have more depth than, I would say, a lot of wide receivers.
I would put them like low end to top
if
10.
Right, if you're including the core, like from all, they're going to have 4 or 5 receivers?
Right, even if you take, I mean, is that like top 3?
So you have
maybe?
Juju Smith-Schuster, Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, if he can hold on to the ball. And
James Washington.
And what's his name? Don't they have one more?
They also factored in tight ends. Steelers don't have a tight end.
Okay.
Freiermuth.
I think Freiermuth's going to be a beast. I think Ebron is dropsy and doesn't block to save his life. I think he's essentially he's Juju Smith-Schuster that lines up. Well, he's not Juju Smith-Schuster, but I'm saying he's essentially a wide receiver built like him. He's taller.
Right.
But
the only thing he has on Freiermuth is speed, I assume. I don't know that
and
40
experience.
times. Yeah, but I mean, Freiermuth looks like he has better hands.
Dude,
He's
I will take somebody
definitely a
that
better
runs
blocker right now.
I'll take somebody that has 0.2 off the 40 time that holds on to the fucking ball. JP.
So, Juju ranked very low to 8.6 yards per reception last year.
I like him, though, as a first down guy. Hit him. I wish they would throw it more to him and just force people to tackle him. Because he's a big dude.
They're graded low because they don't have a true number one. And, they drop balls, they fumble the ball. Claypool is a little bit, you got to take a shot downfield, hope for the best.
I think he's going to go down a little bit this year.
Drag him across the field. Then Deontay is kind of hit or miss, I feel like. They, I think it's a fair ranking. 19.
So at 19 for inconsistency, essentially.
Yes, I feel like wide receivers nowadays are the easiest position to find, and they come everywhere.
The Steelers have found that better than anyone, I'd think. Yeah. The Steelers have had a lot of...
Yes, but today, I don't see a game-breaking receiver on that team, essentially.
I think Chase Claypool could be, but he has to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what were you saying about the other? Oh, unless you had more about the receivers.
No, offensive line ranked 31st, not 32nd. So not last. They're ranked 31st.
I'm surprised
heading
about
into
that.
This season.
I'm surprised they're ranked that high.
Yeah, I think they beat out the Jets or someone. I forget. So fortunately, Okafor was graded at a 74th out of 84 tackles graded last year.
74th. And there's 32 starting I guess if are they both tackles? It's not left and right tackles. So there's 64 starting tackles.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then all of them that were graded last year. So I guess I don't know what the cutoff is, but to have played.
That's not good enough as a starting tackle.
Right.
Yeah, they ended last year 17th with Villanueva, DeCastro, and Pouncey, and then they all left, and now they're down to 31st as a projection.
I don't know that those losses are as big as the names sound like they are. I think Villanueva Villanueva seemed like he just didn't want to play football half the time last year.
Yeah.
And then Pouncey's getting older. I mean, not saying anything about Pouncey or DeCastro. They're both hell of players, and they had a great career in Pittsburgh. And I'm sad to see them go, but I'm not sad to see them go at the way they performed last season.
Right, and I mean, it takes its toll on you, and like they were getting up there in age, and
I don't think anyone takes more of a beating than the NFL offensive linemen.
yeah, that's very accurate. I mean, you have edge rushers coming at you who are generally like the highest paid players on the defense.
You're just getting, and it's not like, and you see big hits on running backs and wide receivers, but it's a little. We had Q Williams on here, who played for Northwestern, and he was saying a lot of it isn't the big hit; it's the repetitive small hits.
Yeah, you're making contact every play, no matter what.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the thing. I saw a downgrade in all three guys' plays. You know, Pouncey would be a Hall of Famer one day, and DeCastro might be. Villanueva was a multiple-time Pro Bowler, but I saw a decline in their play, and I don't think these replacements are necessarily the best guys either. And we don't have Lamar Jackson or someone. This is Ben. He is maybe the least mobile quarterback in the NFL, including Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to
I think Ben doesn't run because he's lazy, even. Like, I don't want to run. Fuck that.
I heard in the offseason they said he was looking more mobile. I mean, that could just be like get people's hopes up, but
yeah, I heard he did like a sit-up routine and stopped drinking. So, yeah, we'll see, but
I guess it's something.
Vegas, too. So this is how Vegas views the Steelers, too. And I think it's a combination, in my opinion, of I don't see an offensive line. People are already crowning Najee Harris. I think Najee Harris will be a great player. But we're crowning him. Like, this guy hasn't played yet, so let's not crown him yet. The game's moved on from a guy like Roethlisberger. Receivers, like I said, I think are good, but not great. And I think Vegas sees this too. Plus, this culture Mike Tomlin's building, I don't like necessarily. I think it's taken its toll. And FanDuel lists them as 19th to win the Super Bowl.
Okay,
and
I think that's fair.
10th to win the AFC. Okay. They are not a playoff team, according to Vegas.
Are they doing the 7 teams again this year?
Yes.
Okay.
Who are the 9 teams ahead of them in the NFC? That's what I'm kind of curious about. I feel like there is a sharp drop-off after the Bucs and the Packers in the NFC.
AFC.
No, he was talking. You said there were 19, so there's a handful. Although I guess it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I mean that was more of a rhetorical question. You don't need to actually look them up.
JP, now how are you feeling? I would assume you would feel very different about the Steelers' defense.
Steelers' defense, Pro Football Focus. Yeah, so heading into this season, number 1 defensive line.
Oh, really? That's 13. Assuming Stephon Tuitt's going to be back and playing, correct?
Yes.
Cam Hayward is an absolute beast. He's getting older, but he really is. He's an all-pro. And
actually, I'm sorry. This was after last season, but they incorporated Bud Dupree and T.J. Watt as edge rushers.
Oh, okay. Well, T.J. Watt being in there, that definitely shoots that up.
Mm-hmm. 13 at linebacker and 12 at secondary. So,
what do you think about Joe Schobert coming in?
I love it. That's the best offseason move they've made.
I'm a big fan about it, too. Spillane is not a starting NFL linebacker.
Schobert reminds me kind of Paul Plesney. He never got the credit he deserved. Tackle machine. But he's only been to
he played in Cleveland when Cleveland wasn't, before Cleveland was everyone's darling now.
Right.
And then he played for Jacksonville.
He didn't play in Cleveland. He decided to play in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. But no, he's like a vocal leader. I hear he's playing the coverages packages over Devin Bush. And I think Bush will be like the 2.
I think that might take some pressure off Bush, though, and that might free up Bush to do something. He's coming back off an ACL injury.
Right.
Is he big enough to be the guy in the NFL?
I don't know. But he's fast.
There's a lot to be said about speed. He can go from sideline to sideline. Can he cover the tight ends? Not really, I don't think.
No, not really, but like if Schobert's your main inside linebacker, like you said, that frees up Bush to do a lot more, and I like him at that wild
and
card.
I like Spillane as a depth guy to come in for a breather, but I don't like him playing that many snaps in a game. If he comes in, to stop the run. I mean, you saw what he did against what's his name in Tennessee?
Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry.
Which I feel like, it was a great hit, but I feel like that made him seem a lot better than he actually is.
He also left the game because he couldn't continue after that, getting hit by that, right?
Right.
Okay.
The issue with this team, though, I feel like this defense is great on paper. It takes one injury, though.
Especially a cornerback.
The system is done. I'm talking about their defense at this point, though.
Yeah, no, I'm saying corner. I'm saying they have Joe Hayden, and then who?
Right. And Joe
Hayden's old.
Like, getting to the mid-30s now.
Joe Hayden can still play, but is he still the number one corner? Is there depth at corner, do you think?
Well, they have Cameron Sutton and Joe Hayden starting. Justin Lane, I see a little bit of nothing special. I think.
Do you like him to cover? I mean, we're playing Cleveland that has Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry. You like Cam Sutton over there? I don't know if I mean. That's my concern. Hopefully, T.J. Watt has people on their back before they can throw it, and Minkah Fitzpatrick can cover over the top.
Right.
But I mean that's my concern.
Corner is the toughest position to play in today's NFL. Like other than like line and quarterback, they're consistently like the toughest. But I think corner, it's so difficult today. Corners have the fewest great players at their position,
and you need to have a lot of good ones to play on your team.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, and I see secondary seems to have been an issue in Pittsburgh for years. It seemed like when Ike and Deshae were there, that's as best as they've been. And besides them, like they have never found a great corner.
Right. I mean, it was a revolving door. You had like Willie Williams in there,
right?
And
I feel like
Brian McFadden,
William Gay, who we all pretended was good for 10 years.
True.
And then Mike Hilton left.
Yeah.
So,
Cincinnati.
Steven Nelson leaving is kind of a big hit. Like, he was never great, but
he's a starting NFL guy.
You didn't hear his name in a bad way, hardly ever.
Yeah.
Which shows consistency, I guess.
Mm-hmm. But now it's also a year where the Steelers have a defense, but not an offense. And when we had AB and Bellows, we have an offense, we don't have a defense.
Now, JP, you were saying how Tomlin, and everybody likes to talk about how he never had a losing season. Do you think never having a losing season has to factor in to them kind of hovering in mediocrity? Because sometimes you have to be bad before you can be good again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's all a participation trophy. You're not that special.
If you're not winning the Super Bowl, then maybe you should rebound.
Yeah, I'd rather win the Super Bowl every other year and have a losing season every other year than just like you said, mediocrity. Like,
he inherited a Super Bowl team from Bill Cowher, a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's done well with drafting. I will give him that.
But is that him or is that Kevin Colbert?
And I'm not bashing Tomlin because I like Tomlin, and I think he's a lot better than a lot of other NFL coaches.
I agree.
People will say that Tomlin doesn't have control over his locker room. Well, maybe a lot of other coaches might have less control. Because at a certain point, you're an adult and you gotta factor yourself. I think a lot of that has to do with, I don't know that they have a lot of team leaders. Now that James Farrier's not there, and Troy Polamalu, and Hines Ward, and Jerome Bettis, like those guys who used to play, and Heath Miller, like those guys. And I think James Farrier is a huge one.
Yeah, I mean, I think Cam Hayward kind of takes.
Yeah,
that
I do
role
too.
on
But
defense.
then who?
Yeah, no, that's a very.
I don't think
point.
Ben is.
I don't either.
And I'm not in that locker room, but I don't know that a lot of people like him.
I kind of agree with that. And what other veteran do you really have on the
guys
offense?
like Cam Hayward want to win, but what can he do when you have so many people who don't?
Yeah.
This is a horribly ran culture, in my opinion. I think Tomlin has had a very good career. Some people think he'll be a Hall of Famer. Debatable. He's had success, and there are worse coaches. I agree. It is time for a change, though. This team has catered to the same thing over and over again. So I have his playoff history since losing to Green Bay in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
This is a 10-year span. 3 playoff victories. These are his 3 playoff victories. He's beat A.J. McCarron and the Bengals by 2 points.
And that was that the Pac-Man Jones and Vontaze Burfict game?
Yeah, so they would have lost to A.J.
They should have lost that game.
They didn't do that.
That game still will blow my mind more than anything, especially for the Bengals woman fan at the end. Do you remember?
That is probably my favorite football game I've ever watched play.
And
that was a good
that
game.
could have been where AB lost his mind. Physically, he lost it on the field right there.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And, so Steelers win by 2. That's one of Tomlin's wins.
Okay.
Now, must I remind you, Andy Dalton had a great year and was injured. So A.J. McCarron played. Andy Dalton plays, they probably lose. Jeremy Hill holds onto the ball, they lose.
Yeah.
Vontez Burfict doesn't take a cheap shot, they lose. Pac-Man doesn't push a ref, they lose.
Yeah.
So that's one.
Now, a lot of people will say, okay, well, you could say that in any game. You know, it comes down to this or this. That's a lot of things that went in their way in that game. The
Right,
Bengals
it's not like a football,
could not have given it away anymore.
right, but they'll complain that a football was slightly deflated in a different game, you know. Yeah.
So what are the other ones?
Playoff victory one is that they also beat the Dolphins with Matt Moore because Tannehill was out. That was another victory.
Yeah. I don't even remember that.
Yeah, so I think the Dolphins whooped them that year in the regular season. Then they played them in the playoffs with Tannehill out, and they won. And then they went on to the divisional round that same year and beat the Chiefs with Alex Smith by 2 points, and were held out of the end zone, and Boswell had to nail 6 field goals. So those are Tomlin's 3 playoff wins, and here are his losses, because this is even worse than the wins.
Before you get into it, is Tebow one of those?
Yeah, so the first
That
playoff
is
loss
awful.
following the Green Bay one is Tebow in 2011.
Hitting
where they
Demarius
lost
on the
in
slant.
OT. They allowed 29 points to Tim Tebow, and then they missed the playoffs 2 years in a row. Then they lost to Baltimore in 2014, 30-17.
Is that when Baltimore won the Super Bowl?
2014, it would have been roughly around that time. So it would have been like the Joe Flacco, Torrey Smith, Ray Rice era.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's necessarily that year, but yeah. So they allow 30 to Baltimore. Then 2015, they lose to Denver, to Peyton Manning, who went on to win the Super Bowl that year, even though he was like 40 and aged horribly. But you can't really deny he won the Super Bowl. Steelers were banged up. I guess if you can kinda
Von
give them
Miller
that.
and
Yeah, they
DeMarcus
won.
Ware
They didn't.
won the Super
Yeah,
Bowl.
they won because of that defense. They won in spite of Peyton Manning because I don't know that I've ever seen like a slower release and just nothing on the ball.
Yeah.
And he was coming off of like major neck surgery.
Oh yeah, I'm not. I mean, he's.
Oh yeah, I'm not like saying.
but
you're
like
knocking
you
him,
can
but, like,
watch it
yeah.
and just see that's slow. When I watched Peyton Manning's Hall of Fame thing, and I'm glad I brought this Hall of Fame thing up because I want to get back into that. If I have these sound drops, Egghead, please remind me. I want to do
All right.
the Alan Faneca. Just remind me Alan Faneca Hall of Fame because I don't want to ruin our surprise. It's a big surprise. I will get into it so people don't get into it. Alan Faneca sounds exactly like Tyrion Lannister from Game of Thrones, and we have a mashup we're going to get into after JP gives us important stuff. When we go back to bullshit. What was I just saying though? Oh, Denver. When you could see Peyton Manning give his Hall of Fame speech, and they showed him on the Colts throwing dimes to Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne, like you could see the wind coming off that ball, and then they showed him in Denver. And it was just like a lob to Eric Decker. And it was still a touchdown. But you can definitely tell it was gone.
That's
then.
another thing too. Like he had so much preparation. Peyton and Brady, even like James Harrison, when he was in New England for like a month, even was talking. It's like Ben doesn't study the way Brady does. Like, and I know Peyton and Brady just like study so well to the point where Peyton probably knew everything about the Steelers and just knew how to beat them.
Ben seems like a good jazz drummer who just improvises, where Manning and Brady are like the Mozarts who just, not that they couldn't make it up, but like they just they do it and they're perfected their craft and there's nothing to it. Where Ben will go out and maybe he doesn't put in all the work. I mean, I don't know what he does every day, but it definitely doesn't. Well,
seem
apparently
like he does
James
that
Harrison
well.
knows.
Yeah, true.
So.
And I mean, Ben's only been to the Super Bowl when another team knocks Brady out, or I think he may have only beaten Peyton once in the playoffs, and that was when Bettis almost gave it away on the goal line.
Yeah.
But Bronco. Bell and D'Angelo Williams both were hurt. AB was hurt, so that one's kind of, I don't put that one on Tomlin. But the last three are just pathetic. 36-17 in the AFC title game against New England in 2016. 2017, Jacksonville 45-42. Blake Bortles put up 45 points. They couldn't tackle Leonard Fournette. And last year,
that was an ugly game.
48-37 wild card against Cleveland. Like, that's an average of almost 40 points allowed a game.
Last year, it seemed like they went in thinking they were the big brother that was just going to knock them over for showing up. Like, Cleveland should be happy they're there, and they...
That was the game Cleveland came out and got like two
I turned the TV on and it was 13-0.
Yeah.
And it was like 14 seconds had passed.
Right. Yeah, that was a rough game to watch.
But yeah, I think this all relates to the Tomlin like culture. Like I've said, I feel like he's building like he just wants to be friends, buddies with the players. What Juju doing that crate thing's really irritating. Him doing his TikToks. You gotta knock it off. And Claypool saying, well, Browns will get whooped next week. Well, you just did, and now you're pulling a Conor McGregor telling Poirier your wife's in his DMs or whatever. Like, you just lost. Like, shut your mouth.
Nobody gives a fuck what the loser has to say, and that's for everybody listening. If you have something to say, you better be holding the championship belt, because if you're not, nobody gives a fuck. It's sour grapes.
Yeah, and it's the same thing. It's I thought Bell was the issue. I thought AB was the issue. No, they leave, and they still have the best TikTok ensemble in the NFL. You have that.
It's next man up for TikTok.
Yep.
Now,
right,
JP,
get gone. And there's an issue here. You said there's no leaders, and you're right. That team likes Ben because he's good and can win, but I don't think they respect him. Like I don't think they like him. Joe Hayden, who is supposed to be a leader on this team, like is tweeting, "Let my boy dance" when they're talking about you. That says everything about like the culture they're building.
Yeah, football seems to be secondary to a lot of other things. Now, JP, before can you get into some more of the Vegas stuff, that gambling edge, the side?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what I was going to say, Steelers to win the Super Bowl, they were at 19, according to Vegas. They're plus 4,400 to win. So if you bet 100, you could win actually over $4,000 on them if they take it.
That doesn't sound like that bad of a bet.
No, they have a shot. Unlikely, but
I mean that's what gambling is. I mean, you're looking at it. They're not going to be like, you know what? If you bet on the Buccaneers for a dime, we'll give you $1 million. Like it's part of the gamble.
Yeah,
but it doesn't
Kansas
seem
City,
too outrageous.
Who's the favorite was a plus like 600. So in
and
comparison to like a Kansas City, a 4,400 payout's huge.
Yeah. So what was it? So what if we bet 100 on the Chiefs? What's the payout?
You would win your money back plus 4,400, so I guess a total of 4,500.
No, the
for the Chiefs. I didn't hear what.
For the Chiefs. I didn't hear what Steelers. Chiefs would be 600, so you money back plus the 600. There's something about.
That's still not. That might not be worth. I mean, hey, it's still plus 600 at the end of the day.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not. That's not.
It's early though. A lot could happen.
Well, like I said, that's all the gamble.
Yeah.
JP, did you have any other sports stuff, or are we able to get into some of the boxing?
Lastly on football, I heard. I didn't see this on FanDuel. I double checked it, couldn't find it. You might find it elsewhere. I heard about it on the radio. Najee Harris. This is from Adam Crowley the other day. Said or Tim Benz, I think. Najee Harris is projected over under. It was like 40, maybe like 46 and a half receptions. You got to hit that over. He's hitting that big time.
He might hit 46 by week 10.
Yeah, he's hitting that. We get an extra game, 17 weeks. Line's not going to hold up.
Maybe they're thinking there'll be an injury or something.
Le'Veon Bell was our second best wide receiver when he was here. Like, Najee could easily do what Bell
Right,
did.
and they don't have that guy who's going to be calling for it's going to be, kind of a reception by committee crew. Mm-hmm. And with that, they like the short passes. They're still probably going to be doing that. I can't see Ben airing it out, and I think they're gonna.
I don't think
they're going to have a lot of
line for
misdirection. Right, they're going to do misdirection.
And that's how Ben's built his career is through the air out, and I feel like he just looked tired last year when they went 8-0, 9-0. He just weared out.
I think Ben's more into being the quarterback for the Steelers than like he wants to do it all. I think when he retires, he's not going to know what to do. He's the Steeler guy, and I think he's not ready to give that up yet.
Right. And it seems like he made some changes in his lifestyle and working out and stuff. So we'll see if it pays off.
It's a little too late, but
Agreed. But
he's never
it can't
struck me
hurt.
as a guy who's passionate about the game the way like Peyton you still see around. I feel like he's kind of like Aaron Rodgers without the talent.
Yeah.
So to speak.
Okay, JP. Now, did you want to talk any of this boxing from yesterday? The Jake Paul Woodley fight?
Jake Paul goes to 4-0. What, like, that's nuts. This
Now, is he 4-0 for like legit boxing? Like, is that a professional record?
Yeah, I believe professional boxing has him at 4-0. Now, has he fought anyone good? Not necessarily, but he's 4-0.
Okay, well, there's a lot to be said about you. I mean, I'm sure if you looked at Floyd Mayweather's fights, 7 or 10 of those are against people who are nobody.
Right.
People
One of
do
them's
also
Logan Paul.
say that
So, like-
he didn't fight anyone real. Like, they're like, you're fighting NBA guys. But then you could also say to, like, the other guys, like, well, you are fighting YouTubers.
Right, yeah.
True. And
Yeah.
He's not. I mean, I will say this about Jake Paul. He's not. He wasn't born into boxing and been doing it. He said he's been doing it for 18 months, and now he's beating guys who were in the UFC who have trained and shit. Yeah, maybe they're not boxers, but I don't think that he's a boxer either.
Are the weights even though? Because didn't he have like 30 pounds on Nate
I
Robinson
said
or
that
something?
yesterday. Oh, well, yeah, he might have on Nate Robinson.
Yeah, but for Woodley.
But for Woodley, I thought he was way outweighing him, and it was the tail of the tape thing. Like he was 3 inches taller, and everything else was like the same.
Well, then I'm glad it was a fair fight too, because I feel like in these celebrity fights they get a little ridiculous. Didn't Lamar Odom fight somebody that weighed like 160?
Aaron Carter.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
But
Like,
people need to. I mean, people are paying to see it. So you know what?
It's funny, but that should not count towards your professional record.
Yeah.
That's the state of the sport right now, too. Like, we don't have Ali. We don't have Tyson.
No.
Yeah, boxing's kind of like, I don't know, like Canelo's kind of big, but like other than that, like boxing's kind of dying out.
Yeah, but if you heard Canelo was fighting and you heard Jake Paul was fighting, which one are you going to put money on more to watch?
Probably Jake Paul.
Because it's a spectacle.
Right.
And that's what
more
you want.
people
At the
are
end of the
gonna
day, you
talk
want
about
to.
it.
Yeah.
And it's, in a way, a revival of the sport. Like, I can't blame them for that.
But if they do that and then the undercard, like they did yesterday, were legit boxers and stuff, I'm not a boxing fan, and I watched it yesterday because I wanted to be able to talk about it for the show and know about it. That women's fight, whoever that one girl was that won, she's a beast. She's a complete beast. She had like 3 belts and another one. They went the distance. They went I think they do 8 rounds in women's, 8 2-minute rounds. But that was impressive. Some of the other fights weren't great, but I'm interested in boxing a little bit more than I used to be. So, I mean, they can thank him for that much at least.
Yeah, she put on a hell of a fight, and she went to 41-1 or something.
Yeah, she was incredible. I can't remember what her name was, but whoever her manager was or ring guy was a complete dick.
Oh, yeah, he kept running his mouth, and the girls there with their plastic surgery, like those ring girls.
Oh my god, they I know they were there to be attractive, and I'm not hating on anybody's look. But at a certain point, you stop looking attractive and you start looking like you're of a different planet, like reptilian almost. Like,
yeah, there's like, if you want to make yourself look better, subtlety is key.
I think there's ways you can. I mean, like they were
They
definitely
look like
built
the Barbie
well and
dolls
stuff.
Barbie dolls you don't buy because they look ugly. Like they literally just looked like plastic.
And there's women that like, and men I'm sure that put like the injections in their lips, and I just like maybe a little bit some people can pull off, but when you do too much, and it's the same for
And I feel
people.
like people like, I feel like people go in the trap and like maybe go to like the cheaper guy or something who screws it up, and then they like keep getting more and more to correct it, and then next thing you know, like you said, like another planet or something.
There's a sweet spot.
Yeah.
That maybe you like full lips, but you don't need giant. Like,
right.
And it's different for each person's face, because certain people will look better with bigger lips, and certain people, the way their face, it doesn't. And for the same people with people who are age, and then you see, and I think the same goes for dyeing your hair jet black, like these old men that have, and I'll wait on old men at my restaurant who like dye their hair black. Men and women, I think everybody alike just go natural when you go old, man. Just go gray, and there's an attractiveness to that that's better.
You just gotta
than
rock it with
fake.
confidence. That's all. Whatever you do, do it with confidence.
Yeah, but you can do it with confidence. But when I don't know.
Yeah, but some
when your
things
face
still
is
look
pulled
better
back
than
like you're
others.
standing in something, not for this.
No,
guy.
I'm taking your set the natural, like rock your naturality. With
Oh yeah.
old people. That's all you gotta do. Yeah. So Jake Paul won in a decision. Two judges gave it 77-75, 78-74. And the other one actually gave Woodley 77-75, which made no sense.
I don't
think Woodley
understand
won
that.
round 4, but that was it.
But
from
still,
what
he
I
would
saw.
have won round 4, and I mean, I don't know exactly how boxing is judged, but unless they judged it way higher because he knocked him into the ropes.
Yeah, in round 4, he did hit him in the ropes, and it looked like he may have taken him down if the ropes weren't there.
Oh, for sure. I think he would have gone down.
Yeah, and Paul saved himself there. Paul landed 71 punches to Woodley's 52. It said 22-6 in the body shots. I don't know. I think Paul was tested and looked better. He looked more gassed, but he still was the better boxer throughout the fight.
And maybe that'll be better for him in the long run to go that distance. Now he knows what it feels like. And if he's serious about it, other than just making money, which they've proven they can do, I don't know.
When he fought Askren, he was like fresh off hip surgery or something too.
I believe they said that, yes.
Yeah, and he just like punched him twice in the face and it was over. Like,
Askren looks like he could not have given less of a fuck about that.
Yeah, and I mean,
He
did
looked
you
like
ever
he,
see
like,
his
rolled out of
UFC
bed, like,
fight
went to
where he
Five
was like
Guys
the
and fought.
fastest knocked out ever?
Oh, that was him fighting that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I
don't get the people who go that. He has to just be a naturally good fighter.
I guess because like obviously he's not good at protecting himself. Like you just let someone run up and knee you in the face 3 seconds into the fight. Like
Yeah.
that, I don't know.
A lot of it is like you think you're tight with your guard, and then you realize like if you like judge it in the mirror, if you would like do it personally, you're like, oh my god, like I'm literally leaving my entire forehead open.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
think like when you look at that Paul fight, he just drills him in the face. Like,
Yeah.
I guess Askren's guard wasn't up, but yeah, Askren, Robinson. I forget who he fought in the first fight. I didn't see it, but no, I've been watching his fight since. And this was definitely the most
one of them fought KSI, and one of them
That was
fought like
Logan.
his other. Then he might have fought his brother or something.
Yeah, Logan fought KSI, and KSI won, I believe.
Yes. Now, JP, we can let you go, or you can stick around to listen to the Tyrion Lannister, Alan Faneca mashup.
All right, I'll stick around. I mean, I
Okay.
love Game of Thrones.
Now, you guys are both. Well, JP's calling in, but Egghead, I don't have any kind of notes or anything, so don't look. And well, fuck. If you hear what he says, he's obviously gonna know. But here, this is we'll do a mashup, and I'll let you hear how similar they sound. Okay.
The fact that I was actually being invited to become a member of this extraordinary football fraternity is hard to put into words.
So that's Tyrion Lannister, right?
Correct. When he went to the Hall of Fame.
Yes, Father, I'm guilty. Guilty. Is that what you want to hear?
You admit you... There are thousands of young boys around the country who dream of playing in the NFL. I was one of them.
Of that I'm innocent. I'm guilty of a far more monstrous crime. I'm guilty of being a dwarf.
And the last two.
Your support and the values that you instilled in me, I would not have found my way up here. Thank you for everything you sacrificed to help this kid make his dreams come true.
I did not do it. I did not kill Joffrey, but I wish that I had. Watching your vicious bastard die gave me more relief than 1,000 lying whores.
Alan Faneca went real dark at the end of that.
Yes.
Jesus Christ, what did Jeff Hardings do?
And Marvell Smith. Kendall Simmons. That whole crew, man. That's what an offensive line was like.
Yeah, that's when he won a Super Bowl.
Max Starks. Max Starks had to have made more money just signing a single-year contract or being franchise tagged or whatever.
I remember
any
watching that
guy.
and being like, Starks and Simmons better hold up. Now, those guys would be the two best dudes on our line right now.
Yeah.
I gotta ask, who would be your NFL comparison of Tyrion Lannister, and who would be your Game of Thrones comparison of Alan Faneca?
Well, do you mean based on the way they look?
Yeah, I guess. Look, just
If you're going on
personality,
sound, then
skill,
they're similar there, but
just in general. I wonder
Alan
who-
Faneca. I can't think of anybody in the show who he would look like. He would probably be a member of like the traveling crew that had the dude with the patch on his eye, the Brotherhood without banners. I could see Alan Faneca with them.
I was going to say the Mountain. He's just a freaking beast.
Oh yeah, well they're giant, but he doesn't look like them.
Yeah, he doesn't look like him.
Their
I kinda-
face.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I was thinking Mountain, just like handling everybody, you know.
and then Tyrion Lannister in the NFL. I mean, I don't know who's Maurice Jones-Drew. Does that count?
Yeah.
Maurice Jones-Drew
Does it
is
have to be
perfect.
active?
Tyler Murray.
Doug Flutie?
Yeah.
Doug Flutie's good.
Okay. Absolutely. JP, thank you for calling in. Can we expect you in the future? You know what? And I was talking about this to Sports Guy JP and the Egghead. Maybe we'll do this as a weekly sports show. We'll do it separate from the Poor Man's podcast, but we'll do the Poor Man's Sports Show. We'll let that out, in the middle of the week, and we'll give you some more content because people can't get enough of the Poor Man's podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. One final gambling line that you have to take, by the way, I heard on the radio. Been listening to the radio a lot the past few days. I haven't checked on FanDuel, so I don't know what the exact numbers are. Don't know what the payout is, or if the numbers are slightly different. Hammer, UMass plays Pitt this Saturday. UMass is plus 38.5. Hammer UMass. Pitt will not score 38 points.
Pitt might lose that game. No,
Pitt will win by a field goal.
every year the Pitt will start out and lose to just a team that's not like Dayton will come in and beat them.
I mean, Kenny Pickett at this point is like getting old, like the way an NFL player does.
Can you think of a worse last name for a quarterback than Pickett?
And Blewett, their kicker from a few years ago.
Yeah. They need to get different guys in
The
there.
only worst last name you could have would be Peterman.
I guess it depends on your
But Pitt's schedule that they did announce, it's actually really easy, and they have a chance to have a good year. They won't, but they have a chance.
Oh yeah.
Western Michigan, New Hampshire, like these are some of the UMass, Duke, Virginia.
Right.
Like
Is Sports Guy JP calling Pitt for the ACC championship right now?
maybe if everyone in Clemson pulls We Are Marshall.
Oh, too soon. Too
That's
soon. You know what? We should end on that note because I like that as the closer. Sports Guy JP, everyone, thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
All right. Sports Guy JP, everybody. Impressive stuff. Check in each week. We're going to do a sports show, and we'll definitely try to have that going. Got dark at the end, but it was definitely funny.
Very dark, but
Now, Egghead, we have some big shows coming up in the next couple weeks. Next week, we won't be recording on Monday as it's Labor Day, correct? Not Memorial Day. I always mix them up.
yes, I a lot of people mix them up. Like I was just talking to somebody about that over the weekend, and same thing. But
I believe Memorial Day is in the beginning of the summer. or the
yeah,
end
it's
of-
like
yeah.
the end of May.
Okay.
I think. So,
And then this
yeah.
one's Labor Day. But the Tuesday, the 7th, September 7th, we have a local author from the Regent Square area, Brooke Berry. She just wrote a book called Scenes from a Single Mom. It's the 3rd volume. She's also a licensed home daycare provider, but she's in the Regent Square area. She's going to call in, talk to her, or talk to us about her book. We'll talk about single parents and the struggle with that day in and day out, and a bunch of good stuff with that. So I'm excited to have her call in. And then after that, we have another big show on the 13th. We have Chancellor Humphrey. You can find him on Instagram at Keep Pittsburgh Dope. He's a photographer, influential guy. He's on that 40 under 40 list for Pittsburgh. I'm very excited to have him on here. He's bringing a couple comedians with him. Marcus Cox. You can find him on Instagram at MarcusComedy86 and Ann Casper at _ansplaining_. So look for them. They're all very cool, very funny. I'm very excited to have them in here, as well as Brooke next week. So we have some good people lined up. Very excited for where the show's going. Big things, Egghead. Big things.
Yes,
Check
absolutely.
Check out our links Jeez, that was a tongue twister. There's new clothes in the shop. We got the t-shirts. We got hoodies coming out. It's hoodie weather. We just got new sweatshirts in. So check that out. Click through the link tree on that. Go to the store. Whatever you like. We have t-shirts, sweatshirts, all that good stuff. And then check us out on YouTube, on I was gonna say iTunes. I think it's just Apple Music now. Is it?
Yeah.
Did they do away with iTunes?
I think so. I think they split it into like 2 or 3 apps. So it's just like music and podcast are like separate.
Because now they have Apple TV and shit.
Yeah. So
okay.
I think that's probably it.
That would make sense. That's why Egghead's here, man. Egghead finally doing the Egghead stuff. So check us out. Really, just click through on that link tree, and there's everything there. If you want Poor Man's merch, if you want to watch the videos, if you want to just listen to the show, and please share with everybody. Tell everybody about it. We're trying to grow. We're trying to make this the best podcast in Pittsburgh. It's already the funniest, according to me. So we'll find out about that. But for sports guy JP, so glad he could call in. He's always so knowledgeable. Fun stuff. Check out for Egghead and sports guy JP to be on the Poor Man Sports Show. Egghead, thanks for coming in. We're happy to see you. Wearing the bold blue.
Absolutely. For those on YouTube, the headphones match the shirt almost all of the time.
Almost all the time. 100% some of the time. Or whatever the saying is.
50% of the time? All the time.
Yeah, it's something like that. But for the Egghead, I am Chris.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. We hope you had a good time. If you did, be sure to subscribe to the show to catch the latest episodes and share with your friends. We can't promise not to embarrass you. And if you just can't get enough, follow us on Instagram at Poor Man's Podcast 412, Twitter at Poor Man's Pod 412, and Facebook. This is Pittsburgh's own Poor Man's Podcast signing off. See you next week.